We move on to running backs for waiver wired, and we start with Raiders running back Alexander Mattison. He's only available in 46% of leagues. He's got the Chiefs on deck. Coming off a week where he ran for 23 times, 92 yards. Yeah. He was targeted 3 times for 31 receiving yards.
And the most important thing is Zamir White was active in this game. Like, he sort of got the role because it was kind of a split there, and then Zamir White was out, but he played in this game, but he only played 10 snaps. He's now had back-to-back games with at least 15 fantasy points. It is shocking to me, but Alexander Mattison, on a points-per-game basis this year, is running back 26. You don't love him against the Chiefs, right? The Chiefs allow the fewest fantasy points to opposing running backs, but after the Chiefs, it's the Bengals, it's a bye, and it's at Miami. They're looking for answers in Las Vegas. So I do think if you're not looking for somebody this week, but you just need some depth, he is somebody that see if he's worth. He doesn't meet our threshold because he's 46% available, but he's out there in almost half leagues, and he's a starting running back in the NFL. That has value.
I'll tell you who does, Jay. Sorry to cut you off. Do you want to go?
Yeah, I can segue. You want me to segue? I'll
try
to segue. No. Speaking of guys who actually do have a bit more upside, Jaylen Warren actually played more snaps than Najee Harris against the Jets. He's doubling him up in terms of snaps where they were throwing the ball. So, Connor, it seems like he is going to be the guy who could potentially take over the backfield at some point, but certainly is going to get the passing down usage.
And it's great with Russ playing. That's the difference. Is Justin Fields, he was checking down more than we saw in his career this year, but not at the rate that Russ will. And Russ looked Warren's way a lot in this game. And I know the reception equity wasn't as high as you'd like it to be, but it's going to grow over the weeks. He'll eventually get in the end zone. Warren is a big factor in this backfield, Matthew.
He's had at least an 11% target share in 3 of the past 4 games. I like the fact that he played 50% of the snaps in Week 7. It's a nice matchup this week against the Giants as New York gives up 5.3 yards per carry to running back. That's the second highest in the NFL. You know Arthur Smith wants to run. You mentioned the Russell Wilson factor. I completely agree with you. We talked about this on Fantasy Football Pregame Sunday morning, and I feel like we mentioned this on the show last week, the Tuesday show last week as well, which is just like Jaylen Warren is too talented to be available in this many leagues. It's because he got banged up in the preseason. There's a hammy and and Justin Fields was running a lot, so you just didn't feel it. But I'm like, he's too talented. Arthur Smith is still going to want to run, and because Russell Wilson does not run, but is a more refined passer than Justin Fields, that's going to open up things for both running backs, Najee Harris, your guy Jay Croucher, and Jaylen Warren, who I think Connor and I like more because he's talented. We like the talented guy. You just like Najee.
That's right. I like the guy who
scores touchdowns.
He's a big boy, Najee. Got to see him up close in person a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, very, very large human. Makes you wonder why he's not a little bit better in football.
Fair enough.
Some deep league running back waiver targets for Week 8. Tyler Goodson is available in 86% of leagues. He's at Houston. Dearness Johnson against the Packers, 93% available. The rookie Ray Davis against the Seahawks, 74% available. Kendre Miller against the Chargers. And Sean Tucker, as you hinted at, Matthew, that three-headed, I'm not going to say monster, but three-headed group of running backs for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, we'll talk about this game in just a little bit here, but Goodson seems like we don't know if Jonathan Taylor's going to be back this week. Might be one more week for JT.
Said he's very optimistic he'll play.
Yeah, so we'll see. So it's just a little bit more of a hedge in case Taylor, as the week goes on, just isn't feeling right. But he's now had back-to-back games with double-digit fantasy points. Feels like Goodson over Trey Sermon is where you're looking for Indianapolis behind JT. Kendre Miller, by the way, 30% snap rate in his first game back, 8 touches. Alvin Kamara, they've had so many injuries, and Kamara is somebody that feels like he's starting to get worn down a little bit.
Definitely.
Doesn't look as explosive as well. And you wonder, with the Saints season going the way it's going, is Kamara somebody that could potentially be on the trade block for a contender?
Yeah, he's the type of guy where it's so tough to trade him after he had that game against Denver where he just put up nothing in the stat line. But if he does have a big game this week, then I would try and just move on from Alvin Kamara at the highest point possible.
Yeah, but I'm saying the Saints.
I know.
You're talking NFL, not fantasy-wise. Yeah.
I'm saying fantasy-wise for both, really. I think that, everyone should
sell
want
Alvin
to sell
Kamara.
Alvin Kamara in all walks of life.
Yeah, but I'm just saying if you're the anyway,
the
Chiefs, somebody like Kamara is somebody that could make sense. The
more
NFL.
limited.
I don't think NFL general managers look at it the way fantasy managers do. No. So you could see Kamara potentially on the move, and so Kendre Miller becomes interesting. If something happens to him injury-wise, or if he does end up getting traded. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished.
But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.